Jason won't be here.
No,
No.
He's been having to say.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety, April 12th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Can we please rise to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First of all, I just want to welcome everyone back to Old Stony. You just remember how to conduct meetings here. It's going to be different, but I'm excited about it. But still, a special thank you to the community schools in Frankfort and also the Frankfort Public Library for allowing us to use their facilities. That turned out really well for us, but I'm glad to be back. Okay, Carol, let's start off with roll call, please.
Mayor Sheets,
Present.
Greg Miller,
Present.
Megan Sheets.
Present. Next on the agenda are the minutes from the March 22nd, 2021 regular meeting.
I'll move we approve the minutes as presented for March 22nd meeting.
Second.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Greg Miller,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is the claims. I think it's maybe not on your agenda, but we need to approve the claims for this week.
I'll make a motion that we approve the claims as presented.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Greg Miller,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye. Thank you. Annie, were there any comments? on
No.
the claims?
I didn't see
Okay.
anything out there up there.
Okay, next we'll go on to department reports. Chief Shoemaker, what do you have for us this evening?
Good evening. Just a brief department report. Tonight will be with the council, full council, KJG, Reedy Financial to unveil hopefully what our new police department will look like and get moving on the building corporation plans. We'll work with Les and Rich Starkey to get that board together and get some names. Mayor of the board, I'm not sure who, I don't know if it's just you that appoints that. The mayor appoints the building corporation, or is it the board coordinator? So we'll get, Deputy Chief and I will work on that with you this week. We hope to have names and addresses on this petition by the end of the week. That's our goal, to keep this moving. This board will open the bids hopefully at the next second meeting in May. This is the plan right now. On Thursday, Officer Charles Bates had graduated the police academy after starting the class. I don't even remember when he started, but COVID, he started online, then they took a break, and then they went back online and finally went down to the academy. It's probably the longest an officer has ever taken to get through graduation. He passed his year, his probationary year during this time, and finally Thursday graduated and returns to patrol on Wednesday of next week. So we're glad to have him. Officer Douglas reported to the academy on Monday in person for training, and she will graduate, I believe, June 25th is the plan for that. On your agenda, last probably 2-3 weeks ago, I can't remember exactly. I let you know that our server switch was failing. We currently have no lobby phone. My office is just so weird. Certain offices are starting to just stop working for the phones and internet. So I've had Colleen Moore, who's of course he's our IT, work prepared with 3 quotes for your review tonight. One was Visual Edge IT, another HP, and then another third quote from ACCS here in Frankfurt. The switches are 2 48-port switches that will replace what we have, and will also, for this expense, will come out of our building project, and we'll take these switches with us to the new building. As you see, the 3 quotes, the lowest being Visual Edge IT, who is our current IT provider, for $5,131.70 with the labor charge of $1,500, and I would recommend to the board, to approve this quote. If there are any questions.
I don't know if it's a copier situation, but on the Visual Edge, was there a delineation as in the other two quotes of what was provided? I just had a,
Did you get that? Is that what you're talking about?
no, oh, I see, yes.
I think the hardware, HP was 5,400 or so, 5,500, and then ACCS total bill was just over 9,000. So this is the two ports, switch, so the two switches, reconnection, and that's the total for that company. 6631.70.
I noticed also in ACCS, they had a license included. Do we already have the license with the other company, or?
Our license and is with the actual server. Our firewall has its own license. Our server has its own license. I'm not sure the switching is just a box that brings the internet in and then goes out to the individual offices. So I'm not sure, other than a warranty for the equipment, there's no software to that.
I just thought maybe that might be the difference.
And we're dealing with it right now. I could ask them I could ask them about that, but so far, like I said, there's 5 phones that are not working out of the 100, and they tell me that any time another one could go down. So we could ask them, like I said, we're dealing with it on I use my cell phone or my computer for the onset app. That's the only thing that I don't have is that app. But I don't mind not having my phone. Right.
Do you currently use Visual Edge IT?
Yeah, and then we talked about this last year. I think the contract is up at the end of this year. We have to give a notice, and we're going to give notice that we're going to bid this.
Okay.
To have the board of works look at bids for our IT.
So whatever we do, it's just going to be.
Yeah, whatever we do today has nothing to do with the long term with Visual Edge IT.
Do we want to make sure that the ACCS quote for the license component, if there's an expense to that might bring it more within the realm? I mean, we want to err on the side of local when we can, but obviously there's a big discrepancy and.
There's no license in any of the other two
Yeah.
contracts, so maybe that's maybe there's some confusion there. We can dial that in, and if maybe the board could make a motion that that's not the case, that I can move forward with the purchase from the lowest bid.
I'll make the motion that, just with one other question posed to ACCS, that if that doesn't bring it within the realm of the Visual Edge IT, that we proceed with the Visual Edge IT quote.
Yes, second.
Roll call please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Move forward with that. You might let us know what you want to get.
I don't see Street Superintendent Forsythe here. I was just going to, I know that he's been working hard last week. We've been working together since Monday when the road closed, and I wanted to thank him publicly. I know he's been working on this a lot. Hopefully, I know he worked this weekend I don't know if he doesn't think he had a hand in it, but I think this Washington Avenue delay has actually been beneficial for the city. I know he worked with the Budget Wade. I don't know who he's working for exactly, but worked with him. Friday they shut Washington Avenue down, and Jason and I were out there. We were going to take the signs down. We just didn't understand why they were shutting the road down. But Jason worked through the weekend, and hopefully Wednesday or Thursday the intersection opens up downtown. We've been working with NDOT, HWC, all these people, and I think we finally have gotten to where today has been pretty calm, would you say? Yeah. I mean, we actually had more crashes over the weekend than we did all last week. A lot of people, I don't know if it's out of towners just not stopping at stop signs. That seems to be the main issue. And we've getting a lot of complaints. I know we had a complaint, Washington Street, 1400 block East Washington Street, that is a detour. So we're gonna have more complaints, which, we'll make sure that, I know Jason was over today, make sure everybody who answered the phone has the detour routes, because it is a detour route. And keeping semis, off these streets. I mean, we've had semis pass all the way past Harrison Street and try to go down to jail, Sally Force Drive. So we've got signs everywhere and some people just can't figure it out. So we're working with them. But I wanted to thank Jason for that and helping the police department last week. We have spent a lot of overtime. I don't know the numbers yet. We'll tabulate that by Wednesday, and I've talked to HWC, and we're going to send a bill to EMB Paving, who is the prime contractor for that. And they should have a traffic safety budget for law enforcement. So we're going to try to get that back, and we'll see.
Yeah, big thank you to Jason and his employees. They worked really hard putting the signage out and trying to direct the traffic and keep everything flowing. And I know it's not been easy, but also a big thank you to the police department. You guys have been a big part of that as well.
And anytime we saw a problem, needed a sign or whatnot, Jason's crew brought what we needed and also helped. They've been actually manning some of our intersections last Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday, I believe. So to help us out, and we moved out to more higher volume areas. So
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Chief Kirby, Fire Department, what do you have for us this evening?
I gave you guys a copy of the Hastings Air Energy Control, which is the final replacement and repair parts invoice. Make sure we get that paid. It was on our capital improvement plan last year or for this year, and firefighter safety. I think it's important to get that thing back up and running, which is what we hook our trucks up to. Guys either check out in the winter time or, when they start the trucks up to take off on calls, those things should be hooked up. Station 2, they ordered a sensor for it. Everything's ready to go except that sensor has not come in yet. So we're waiting on that for that.
And this is that one. What's that getting paid out of? Is that?
Fire queue.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we budgeted 18,000 and ended up coming to what was that, 3,500, I believe, so,
I think at our last
or
meeting,
13,500.
13,363.
Yeah, 13,363.
was this the one at our last meeting where you had an amount, but the invoice hadn't arrived yet?
Right.
So this is that.
Yes. Yeah, we had an idea, but they haven't given the final invoice.
There we go. I'll make a motion for the approval of the invoice amount of 13,363 be paid.
Second.
Roll call please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Due to the agreement with NHK on the annexation for pre-annexation payments for fire service, we came up with a kind of a generic response guideline. I call it a guideline because I want my officers to be able to make, some changes if they have to make change on the run, considering, we're going that far out of town to cover them. And in this guideline, we're always going to try to keep an engine back, make sure the city is still covered. And in each of the different scenarios, as you can see, we have calling in other fire personnel. which our guys are really good about getting in quickly. And obviously, sometimes we go out to these factories and they're false alarms, and we know that before we even get there. And that's why I want to, leave it to my battalion chiefs to be able to say, engine, 3, you can return back to Frankfurt as well. We'll go out and check it out. So anyways, I gave that to you guys. I would like for you guys to approve that. If you have any questions.
I have a question, John, on, for the purpose of this would be for emergency medical service assistant also. In the procedure, it doesn't stipulate, would that be an engine or would that be the rescue that would respond to that?
The rescue.
Okay.
Oh, we don't have that in there, do we?
No.
No, we would still, if it's a heart attack, so I will go back and change that, make sure that gets in there.
That would change your response if it was an engine?
Yeah, no, I would
Sure.
want, if it's just like a heart attack, we're going to have to, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, going to assist the ambulance or something of that nature. I'd say, number 1, save on wear and tear on the engines. Number 2, save on fuel. I'd say send a Durango out there every time.
Okay.
So, but I didn't know I didn't put that in there.
Okay.
This I wrote this up in about an hour, and when we found out we were covering, but anyways, I'll get that put in as well as definitely.
And engine 2 will always stay in Frankfurt.
Yeah, and the reason I designate engine 2 just because it's the middle engine. Obviously, we got to take the ladder truck on automatic alarms, and engine 3 is the closest engine out there. So
we'll always have coverage in.
yes.
Does anybody have anything else?
So
I'm just curious, does this require approval of us or is just
I
an
just-
awareness?
I've always brought, when we wrote SOPs or guidelines, I mean, since I've been the chief, I mean, you don't have to prove it if you don't want, but I've always brought it to the mayor and the board of works for their approval. Just like, Greg found an error, and that's another reason, it's more eyes on it and stuff, so.
I think that's it for the courtesy of awareness, but I don't know that.
Well, we usually have operating procedures approved both from the fire department and the police department, so I would go.
Okay, thank you.
Makes it more,
Finding.
a fist, iron fist.
I'll make the motion that we accept the NHK response guidelines presented by Chief Kirby
With the addition,
with the addition of the ambulance response.
okay, I'll second.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a change, Greg. Just for spotting that out for me. Josh Hughes brought something to me. We haven't gotten to do a lot with the community just because of COVID. And Josh came to me the other day and the Purdue Extension, they do summer learning for, youth. And I guess it's a learning network summer classes. But this year they're wanting to do some sort of fire academy. They wanted our fire department to head it up. And Josh said he's willing to take the reins to do that, and we'll come up with a little curriculum for them. And I wanted to make sure before we commit to that you guys are okay with us being involved in that.
Would it take place at the Learning Network?
Yeah.
Is that a curriculum that's already set up, John, or is that?
So we've never done that out there before. We just thought we'd make it like a youth fire academy. It's June 14th to the 18th. Like one day, talk about getting a couple cars, taking them over there, and just so they can see our firefighters cut the cars up. Obviously they won't be working the tools or anything, but just kind of let them see what we do, and then do some some classroom things and things of that nature. Obviously, if things are still where they are as far as COVID, masks and things of that nature, I mean, we'll make sure we're all masked up, and the kids probably would be also.
I think it's a great opportunity.
I agree. Can we just do that by consensus? We get that.
And I told Josh go ahead and proceed with those plans then.
You're thinking for us.
All right, thank you. And then, I know, we talked about Station 2 and Station 3, needing some updates and needing some new equipment here and there. And so I had all my lieutenants, they all got together and kind of came up with a list. Station 2's got delivered to me today. Station 3 was brought up a few weeks ago. So I would like to start trying to knock out some of this stuff on these lists, and I'll get you guys a copy. This was just brought to me today, but I know we talked about this, I think, in the last meeting, briefly. You know, those stations have kind of been out of sight, out of mind, and there is some stuff that needs to be done. But there is some stuff on the list, for an example, Station 2, vacuum cleaner doesn't work. Obviously, we need to run the sweeper, or it's gonna get pretty nasty in there. So I ran out and got a sweeper today from Walmart, $200. So one thing's checked off the list, but so you start seeing a few little things like that come through. But on the major things, I guess I wanted to ask, how do you want to handle, like, something as far as like a sweeper, $200. You know, I went out and purchased it, but the major things, you know, it talks about the new floor, the kitchen, you know, construction. I'll bring that stuff to you with quotes. Stuff that's going to cost a little more. We have a building materials fund, repairs and maintenance fund. We also have a furniture and fixtures fund that we can draw things out of and try to spruce up the station. So I just want to let you guys know that I want to try to proceed with some of that stuff and try to get some of that stuff done.
If you find that you're starting to, maybe if it's run short or questionable or something, if it's a short list that you need to prioritize for us, just say, okay, now we're down to these 5
Right.
items, and here's the importance and order and
Right.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, we talked about that with the lieutenants, that once, you know, maybe everything doesn't get down on this list this year if we can, but we'll try to get with them and try to prioritize things that need to get done, as far as, especially construction wise. So,
Sounds good.
okay.
And you got everything done on engine 2? that we talked about, the equipment mounted, and then the other thing that you did?
I think he's ordered the foam for that equipment.
Okay,
Ed has, but it's not on there yet, is it? Yeah, but we did get the pictures transferred the very next day
okay,
for Dick and Dave Elliott. So they are on there, so.
appreciate that.
They look good, but, yeah, some things we know about, some things we don't, but if we do, I just never thought about getting those, all-field engine put on the do until it was brought to my attention, so, obviously, we don't have a problem doing anything.
Thank you for taking care of that.
Yeah,
The other things to make it as serviceable as it needs to be, you had to order some other things, correct? Did you need to order some things or things have yet to be mounted maybe?
yeah, that's the thing, a lot of the tools and stuff are sitting in the compartments, and the foam that we ordered, you can actually cut out inserts, and then that way the stuff ain't falling around, you're hitting bumps and things of that nature, and I think that's about all needs done, correct?
I think some of the appliances, I think some of the extinguishers and those things to be mounted, but I think with Doug already, I think, and I talked to Jeff about that.
Right.
About getting those in,
Yeah.
so it just takes a while for some of that
Yeah.
stuff to go in, so.
And the foam stuff, that's the stuff you have on your ambulances. So I don't know if he ordered from the same people you use or, okay. So yeah, so all that stuff will be done as soon as it gets here, but, so we're taking care of it.
Thank you.
Well, that's all I have.
That's good. We did mention the
It went on the hiring process.
hiring process.
Yeah. Nice, I'm glad you reminded me. So far this morning, I currently have 22 applications. We started taking the applications on April the 5th, and the last stage will be May the 3rd. It's online, so right now we have a variety of, we got someone from Ohio who's filled out, but we had this last time, and we had like 65 applications, and we had 32 people show up to the test. So online, it's a little more easy to fill out than rather have to come to the station and do that. But, so I think you'll probably see that again. You know, we'll end up with probably 50, 60 applicants and probably, 25, 30 probably show up for the testing. Be my guess, but, the testing is going to be Sunday, May 23rd. I'm just going to start at 8 a.m. at the high school. That's going to be the written test. And we normally do the agility test, in the gymnasium, but they have stuff going on that particular day. So we're actually going to do it out around the football field, which should be better anyways. It'd be outside, so fresh air, as long as it's not raining. But basically you have to pass the written test to move on to the next, phase.
The same day.
And the same day, yep. And, I think this August will be 2 years, so we have to, every 2 years we have to do a process, just like the police department. And sometimes we do them quicker. If we don't get the number of applicants we want, or the quality of applicants. And right now it's time to, do a new process.
So just to clarify, we don't have any openings at this time.
Yeah, there's no
Just to get-
openings.
Okay,
It's just to get a new pool, and the state requires us to keep up a pool. In case tragedy happens and we gotta pull 5 or 6 guys in. So hopefully that never happens.
thank you, John.
And obviously spring cleanup's gonna be in a week, so I had that on the agenda.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
we're gonna be going through our garage
okay.
and doing some cleanup over there. Many of you have never been over there.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of it's police department stuff. We're just gonna throw that stuff away.
Okay, John Stahl.
Good evening. Our March permit report, we issued 79 permits in the month of March. 60 of them were 30-day electrical, 10 of them were fences, 19 were roofs, 7 sidewalks, curbs, driveways, and 5 minor residential renovations. Totaling valuation for March was $540,900. Total revenue collected in March was $4,081 and some change. So things are picking up, and they do on a daily basis as a lot of COVID money is starting to roll in. The next thing we want to talk about is we'd like to hire a part-time clerical assistant. We have in a budget an account that has $10,400 in it currently. We have the ability to pay $12.50 an hour wage, working a total of about 16 hours a week. The schedule will utilize about $9,600 of our part-time fund, leaving $800 for flexible scheduling in case we should have one of our assistants, Ashley or Susan, out of the office to be able to fill in answering the phones for her. We put together her job description, or his job description, and we just wanted to come to the board to get your permission to be able to move forward on a part-time clerical assistant.
The only thought I had, Don, I was gonna post you this evening on a position like this. Is it year round? Is it fair to say it's year round, or could it be more seasonal when the weather is in better shape and more activity in your office?
At the beginning, we wanted to try to do the 16 hours a week to get her or him involved in understanding all the programs that we have. But once we get down the line and everybody's understanding that, it would probably be in a time manner that we would be in need of versus where they just come in on 16 hours a week.
I like that.
What we want to be able to do is we're kind of planning for one day Susan's retirement. She's been talking about it a little bit, and we want to be able to have a person ready to roll in case she does end up retiring. I have no idea if she wants to or not, but she's talking about it. So that's usually meaning that something's in the works. Maybe.
Succession planning.
Hopefully not. She does very good. We miss her very much right now, as we have a lot of activities that she would be engaged with the city plan and the zoning board. So we've been calling her now that she's home to try to get little bit of information from her to help us along.
Is there any, additional training that this person gonna have to do later on, or?
No, it's basically, you know, computer programs such as City Force and understanding the permit process and being able to schedule things with Daniel to keep him on time. And it's not a lot there, answering the phone. There's some clerical work, of course, but it's basically learning the programs that's necessary for permits. We've divided our office into two sides. Daniel oversees the building inspector side and actually works with him as far as scheduling and permitting. Of course, Ashley's actually running the office right now a lot better than I would ever do. And so Susan works with me on the zoning board and city plan commission materials. And so right now she would be gearing herself to the process, because if something should occur and we would need the person as a full-time, then Ashley would move over and take Susan's spot. And then she would just fill right in doing what she's doing right now on the permit side.
I'd be in favor of filling this position as you've explained it, Don, so I'll make the motion to that effect.
I second that.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that a lot. Also on our lineup is a permit fee waiver for ASI. Kevin had called last week to talk about ASI. They're going to be looking at building a group home in the Habitat for Humanity addition at the end of North John Street. Habitat has donated the lot, and ASI has asked if the permit fee may be waived. Taylor Homes will be building the 1,120 square foot home. The permit cost would be about $230 if not waived. I never promise anybody anything other than the fact that I would bring it before the board. I know that the last thing that you want to do is maybe open up some type of bag of worms that could cause major challenges for us down the line. But being the fact that it was, the fact that a lot of individuals have donated their lots and some time, I didn't know if it was something that the Board of Works would be interested in.
Oh, ASI paying for this home, or who's actually, or is this Habitat for Humanity? I mean,
No, it's ASI it'll be their home.
They're paying
They'll
for
be
it.
expecting about no more than 3 people at a time in the home at any one time. And they believe that anywhere from 12 to 15 individuals could go through this home in a year's time. But it is with ASI. They're the ones who are overseeing the group home, and then Taylor Home is looking to build it for them.
And the involvement in Habitat is they donated the lot.
They donated the lot. Yep.
I'll go ahead and make a motion, Don, that we waive the permit fee for ASI as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Thank you very much for that. One other department report tomorrow. We'll be meeting, I should say we, Daniel and Fire Marshal Catherine will be meeting with Bart at the Prairie Creek Park to start looking at the certificate of occupancy for the park, so that it can be open in a timely manner in May. And also, so far we have received one bid for the 50/50 program. I don't know if you wanted me to hold on to that. It comes to an end at the next Board of Works meeting, or if you wanted to have it.
Was it set to open?
Not today, it's at the next Board of Works.
Say.
Okay, very good. That's all that I have. Thank you very much.
The 50/50 sidewalk,
Yes, ma'am?
has that been advertised or?
It has. as far as I know, everything has been put in place.
Normally, that's something that we put through the board of works.
What we did was, we ended up calling, I ain't gonna wait a minute.
You're fine.
We ended up calling Patty to see about the process. She put it all together, or somebody did at the office, gave it to us. And I'm assuming that it got advertised. We ended up calling 3 people that normally bid, or 3 businesses that normally bid, to inform them. But I can check on that.
I don't know that it got advertised because normally it would have gone through Carol's office or
Okay.
your office. And if neither one of them done that, then I'm sure it hasn't. But do we have to publish that, or can we go with getting quotes?
We have always published that in the past,
Okay.
because it's kind of an ongoing, seasonal project. And Patty may very well have prepared the notice, but whether it got published or not, I don't know.
See, Ashley did that conversation, but I'll be seeing her in a little bit. She's coming down to do some work for the,
Because normally, like, Les's office would prepare it, but then it would be up to probably the court treasurer's office.
okay.
Or if Ashley did it, that's okay, I guess, but you need to keep.
I'll check on
Yeah,
that. And then if we have to change the date, we'll just change the date. It's not a big deal.
well, you may have to, because we have to advertise it. How many days?
And you could return that bid unopened to that bidder, because the date would have to change if it hasn't been published.
Okay. Okay. I'll work on it. I'll make sure everybody knows.
Okay, thank you, Dawn. Okay, Jason Forsythe's not. I think he got tired of the work. He's been a pretty busy guy this past week. And I don't have anything from that department. Did he say anything, Carol, to you? No, he said he didn't have anything. Okay, okay. And again, I just want to thank him for all their hard work. It's been a tough few days for him. So, and it's not going to get better probably for a few more days. So. Next up is Parks Department. Bart?
Good evening. First off, I just have a couple things. They're the special event reports. So the first one we have is Good Times Professional Audio. It would be for June 11th. They've done numerous events. This would be at Prairie Creek Park, and the event description is the gospel worship for the community. So they're estimating an attendance of 1 to 200 people, and no alcohol or anything like that. They would just have canopies, which
Okay.
are already in place.
You know, when I saw this, I better double check myself, make sure I had it on the right date, but the calendar for June 11th of 2021 is on a Friday.
Gotcha. Is that not good?
Well, I would only imagine that maybe they wanted it to be on a Sunday, and maybe not, but it's in the morning on a Friday, and that's fine, but I just want to make sure we have the right date on it.
I'll follow up with Tim and make sure.
I'm not opposed to either date, I just want to make sure.
That probably does make a little more sense, but yeah, I'll follow up and I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Is this the same group, like, was it last year that was in, that met on, was it Washington? They're in front of where the park was, and they had the area closed off and had the stage.
I think it might be, because I did bring them to you last year as well.
Okay.
So there was a pretty good crowd there last year for that service. I'll make a motion that we approve the application for the special event
I'll second.
with the date change.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a change.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Thank you, board. The other thing I have is Thursday Thunder. It's something obviously everyone in this room is familiar with. So it'll be at Veterans Park, and it will start the first and third Thursday of June, and that will go through October. Basically going to be the same type of setup they had last year that was approved through a one-time, approved by the board.
Yes, and I'll offer that motion to approve the Thursday Thunder event as scheduled in their application for this year.
In a second.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Thank you. So for my department reports, I'll be quick. We do have a certificate from the state now to operate our splash pad. I passed my classes last week, and so we just have one more applicant, one more guy that works for me that he'll be taking his classes again here in the next couple of weeks. Basically the state says not only do you have to let the health department know and you have to get a permit through them, but you have to have someone that is a certified pool operator, even though we don't technically have a pool right there. It's the same license. So I did that. It was a 2-day class, and like I said, it's passed. So we're good for opening in May. We are also working on our permit for the health department. They sent it to me a couple days ago. I just have some measurements that I have to go take just to verify. But I filled everything else out. It's very easy permit process. So I'm working with Rodney on that.
Thank you.
Yep, we are going to use, the mayor called me yesterday, or this morning, and told me that NHK was interested in having some volunteers come out and help out with the park. So we are going to do that the week of April 19th, and then the next week as well, which is April 26th. They're going to be there for the whole week, and they told us today would be between 25 and 70 people, depending on how many actually are going to take this program from NHK. So what we're going to do is, depending on how many people we have, I'm going to start them out with basically repainting all of the parks equipment. We have that on our list anyway. So at all the parks, a lot of the kids' equipment needs replaced and it needs repaired. So we'll start with that. We're also going to be able to use them to do all the mulch planting, a lot of the beginning things we can do for weeding. We definitely have enough work for all of them. So I'm really excited that they're going to give us that many volunteers.
That's great.
So I think that
They
was
want to help the community out like that. But that's the
Absolutely.
way NHK is. They're really
Yeah.
all about the community and helping. So,
Yeah. So I'm pumped about that.
and thank you for working with them on that.
Sure. I'm more than happy to do that. That was great. We did complete our annual training for our MS4 requirements. So that's the stormwater drainage stuff that Westler comes and does an inspection. I think Jason brought that up at our last meeting. So that's going to be, the inspector will be here in May, but we're going to have 0 issues at the parks. I went over what we had last year. We just had a couple issues last year where we needed to get a cover changed on a drain, and then we needed to repaint our fuel tanks, which we've done both of those things. So we won't have any issues when they show up. Today, my guys started remodeling the muntjac enclosure because over the weekend, a part of it fell in. And so I'm using this as an excuse to just redo the entire thing rather than us just repair the roof. They're going to just rebuild it and set it up to where the zookeepers can actually walk inside. Because before it's like a small little lean-to. The muntjacs are a small deer, so they're fine in there, but my zookeepers can't. They're like crawling around in there if they have to get in there. That was also one of the only things that the inspector, the agriculture inspector showed up that she said she did not like about any of the enclosures was that the zookeepers really didn't have fast access to the back part of that area. They'd have to be crawling down on all fours. So we're going to just kill 2 birds with 1 stone and just remodel the whole thing to what her liking is and to what mine are. So that should be done just probably tomorrow. And then I have started a grant process for, like you guys all know, I'm interested in putting a dog park in Frankfurt. And so one of the things I need on the grant process is basically to a Board of Works approve me to apply for the grant. So the grant would be through SIA, and it would be up to $10,000.
And I'll make
Where
the,
would you put the dog park?
Well, that's up for, we have options so far. What I'm thinking is Dorners, because there's 2 sections at Dorners Park that we just mow. They're huge football field size areas, and we already have some of the fencing. We already have some of the things that we'll need for it, but I would want to basically reach out to the people in those areas and make sure that they're okay with that, because the last thing I want is for us to put a lot of time and energy into a project and then the community not be happy with the placement of it. So another option we talked about was the old Case Field. That's another spot that the parks we just mow. So we've got 3 areas right there that are big enough, and there's also areas for parking in all three of those spots. So those are kind of the options that I've been thinking about so far.
And I know in the grant process, they have to have approval noted in our minutes to be able to accept the application. So, so I'll make that motion that we pursue the grant for the 10,000 dedicated to dog park.
Yeah, I second.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets. Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
move forward on that.
That's all.
Okay, one other question. I'm sitting on your concessions. Where are we on the concessions?
So the guy that was remodeling it has been out of work for the past 2 weeks. He did return today, and so we're back in the process of remodeling.
Okay.
So, that did put us a couple weeks behind because he was gone for 14
And then once we have a date when that's gonna be completed, then we probably should, at least get quotes, right? Either, should he just ask for quotes or would you recommend advertising?
The last several years that we had trouble getting anybody to be interested in that, so we finally gave up, as I recall, with publishing, a request for quotes on that. And we just contacted the same person that did it the year before, frankly. Yeah. Is that the same person that's interested now?
So no, it is not. It's someone else. I've talked to 2 people that are interested in it, so we would at least have, I think, 2 people interested.
Well, it's a service, so it's no big deal, but we ought to try to get three quotes maybe.
Yep,
If we know
that's-
people that might be interested.
Sure, and that would be my goal.
I don't know if Shooks would be interested in that or not.
I don't know either.
Should be good.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you, Barb.
Annie, do you have anything for us? Just a couple quick updates.
Okay,
We have a new website that we're gonna be launching this week. I'm working with Shane Jacoby over at the, municipal utilities to find out a good date to make that switch. It'll require some updates. So when we do launch it, you may have people who complain about inability to access the website. Just know that that is a possibility, but it'll be short term. So if you hear that, we will, and I'll let you know once we have a solid date for that. All the departments have participated in training. It was about an hour long and it was kind of quick. So each department has been given a few resources so that they can reach out if they need additional training or additional help updating their specific page on the new website. And there's a lot going on in the city as far as communication and as far as events and road improvements and things like that. And we do get complaints from time to time that we are not sharing enough. So I just want to make sure you guys know that we do put information out on our website. We share it with the news and the radio. It's on social media. And if anybody has any suggestions for other ways that we can share it, we're always happy to look for new ways to get information out. But we are sharing a lot, which means that it can get lost in the melee of news and updates. But we are trying to keep the public as informed as we possibly can. So I have a couple things from Jason. A reminder about the free landfill day on April 24th, and spring cleanup will be April 26th through May 1st. And then I'm working with Carol Price and Healthy Communities on a grant that will be administered through Healthy Communities to provide additional medical information or medical knowledge to minority population in our community. So we're hoping to submit that in a preliminary way by the 20th of this month. And there's also a possibility that we might be able to apply for a community development block grant, and I'll have more information on next meeting about that. That is my report. Thank you.
thank you, Annie, for all your work on the website. I know that's been a long time.
Been a process.
but Thank you, and for all your help with the communities.
Thank you.
Okay, Les, what do you have for us tonight?
We had received bids earlier for the purchase of the old city utility building on the west side of the square. C.A. Taylor had bid, as I recall, $60,000. And we had a bid from Digital Performance Management LLC for $70,000. We notified the C.A. Taylor folks that they had an opportunity to rebid. They have now done that, and I just opened the bid this evening, and it's $70,500. So this could be a back and forth thing for a few weeks, and I'll have to notify the other bidder now that they themselves have an opportunity to rebid. So I told them to keep it at least a $500 increment. So I should have made it more. We'll see how that.
So will you go ahead and get a letter
Yes,
ready
I will.
and that certified? Now, will you send that to both of them at that time?
I will.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything else for us?
On the State Road 28 widening project through town here, and especially at the intersection of 28 with 39, we've had that issue with the Ivy Tech corner. Some of that now, and we have made progress on that. And the county, of course, owns half that property, and the city owns the other half. It's leased through the seed people to Ivy Tech. But I think we've got the numbers about where we need them based on the last information I received from the Deputy Attorney General that's involved in the condemnation suit. And that will be forthcoming when we get that nailed down. That'll have to go through the board works for approval. The state did ask for permission to get in there early at right of entry. And they offered the county and the city each $1,000 to do that. The fact of the matter is they're already in there working. So we did accept that. I had the mayor do that. And so those funds will be coming now. So I believe that's all I have here.
Okay, thank you, Les, for your work on that. Did anyone have anything under unfinished business? Right? Any new business?
I think just, just to kind of go over it, I mean, everyone's been inundated with calls and responses to the traffic, but I think I think each department's done a great job to keep on track of that. I mean, everyone has noticed, there's been a change in the last few days of getting that traffic diverted finally, to where I think people feel comfortable, going through those given routes instead of every neighborhood in town. So I know there's a lot of hours and a lot of phone calls and complaints, but I think everyone's done a great job to get that handled. So
I agree. All the departments have done a really good job on that. It's not been an easy situation for any of us, but I appreciate all that you've done and staying patient.
then the park was full again. I know last week I was back out there again. There's a ton of people out there that's using all the facility. I think I saw everything in the park being used this last week, so
That's great.
it's a good sign.
Yeah, that's great. Once we get that petting zoo open and aviary, you're gonna have extended hours, so.
Yep.
So, anybody have anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah. Yep.
See you, John.
How you doing?